诗雨，另外就是那个会不会有人从网上提问什么的，还是我们最后的那个评议部分就是先自己自述。
Oh, there's a chat. They can ask questions in chat.
是的，咱们是先可以进行主体的正常进行主体部分。您评议完之后，我会在讨论区看看有没有一些有价值的问题，有的话我发到咱们的WeChat group， 就是我们的群里面，你看好吗
？OK。
这样您和唐老师，您和蒋老师都可以看一下。
好的。我的那个，假如都是中文的问题的话 ，maybe you have to help me
。No problem。
就是念出来，就念一下，要不然我看比较慢。
好，
明白。
So there's 1 minute left.
那我们看不见旁听的人，是不是？
Yes, they are in the audience line. 好，唐老师，那咱们开始吧。
好的，没问题。
唐老师，
我们是你先 announce 还是我 ？OK。
对，您直接开始就好。
好的，各位观众也是各位听众，我作为北京大学人文科学研究院的今年的邀访学者呢，有幸以这个官方身份邀请到了芝加哥大学的艺术史系的蒋仁和老师为我们做一堂分享。我首先给蒋老师做一个我比较个人版本的介绍。大家可能都知道，就是说蒋老师是来自于那个我们都很熟悉的芝加哥大学艺术史系的东亚艺术中心。他的官方身份呢是东亚艺术中心的副主任。他在他的官方介绍上是这么写的，我是稍微也读一下蒋老师的那个官方的这个个人简历。他主要从事的是中国佛教艺术与视觉文化研究，担任芝加哥大学东亚艺术中心中国海外流散文物数字工程负责人。他有非常丰沛的这个学术成果，一会儿我们就不读了，因为在给大家发送的这个简历上面都有。同时蒋老师可能自己也会涉及到他具体做的这个学术工作的成果。我只说一点，就是我比较这个个人化的 personal 的这个一些记忆方面的问题。因为我是在今年秋天的偶然听说蒋老师会到这儿来这个访学， 这也很偶然。我其实在故宫访问的时候听这个李宇航说的，所以也是很凑巧，因为也是相当于在今天我们这个非常相对封闭的一个环境下面，突然听到就是如见故人来，对吧？这种其实是非常有意思的一个经验。就是我是20年前在浙大上学的时候呢，跟蒋老师认识的。那个时候蒋老师的办公室呢，在我们艺术史系的一个位于 Rickenstein Library 的一个办公室里，我们一般叫它叫 Art Reserve， 简单说来就是艺术史系的一个飞地吧，这在那个图书馆里面单独有一个办公室，其实同时还有一个微型的图书馆，连接着一些其他的浙大的相关的方面的收藏。蒋老师呢，我想是身兼两职，一方面他也是一个很专业、成果很丰富的一个艺术史学者，同时呢，他还监管着我们这个艺术史系东亚项目的像学术建设工作。我说建设的意思就是说，我们后来直到我今天我也当了老师之后呢，才逐渐意识到，就是我们很多的研究需要相应的学术资料。在我们平时为我们服务的一些老师们，我们其实有时候不太看到他们的工作的这个重要性，对吧？正是在蒋老师那儿，我就初步领略了这个工作的浩繁，其实它是一个很大分量的工作，同时呢又是非常非常重要的，非常需要很高的见识见解，同时呢又需要一丝不苟的类似于工程师这样的一种细致耐心的这种过程。我当时因为蒋老师一会儿可能会提到，就初步接触到一个很重要的项目，就叫做东亚艺术的卷轴画的研究。因为吴红老师在上一门课就涉及到这个卷轴画这个样式，我特别注意到，在我那个上学那个时代呢，蒋老师是我们的老师，比我们建设的更早。最早的艺术史系在国外教学的时候是使用幻灯片教学的。我们经常会关进一个黑屋子里面去看幻灯片，所以大部分大学的艺术史系都有非常多的幻灯片的收藏。当然，中国大学的条件当时就可能相对还要差一些。我们看到这幻灯片的时候都觉得已经别开生面了。但是当时在21世纪初的时候呢，我们就面临着一个转型的需求，就是我们要把这个原来胶片、幻灯机这样的一种设备呢，转换成数字资源，同时还要转换成这个数字播放的这个可能性。所以当时我就初步的意识到，就是说，其实艺术史本身研究的这个课题啊，应该就和这个有关系。因为艺术史不仅仅是研究一种纯粹的理念观念，对吧？它是主要是对于艺术品的承载样式，这个 embodiment 这个是非常非常的重视。至于你怎么在现代的环境下面教给学生，一个没有接触过东方艺术的学生，如临其境进入他的上下文之中去理解这个艺术品的意义，这个就需要把这个文化的资源呢，具体的转成一个可以感受的这种 media， 然后呢，在异国的语境下面，就是说呈现给受教育的这个同学。所以呢，我相信蒋老师今天讲的这个话题啊，可能会有两方面的这个面向。一方面就是他个人，我其实很希望蒋老师能够讲一点，因为我以前不好意思请教蒋老师，一些比较个人化的求学的经历啊，或者说一些这个感兴趣的研究方向。蒋老师一直是一个非常和蔼可亲的这个长者形象，一直在帮助我们做一些事情。他很少太提 personal 的这些，比如说那个 research interest， 他参加我们的讨论，但是好像不太提这方面的事情。所以张老师可能也会一方面提到他个人的 research interest， 特别是关于这个中古世纪的这个佛教艺术，对吧？另外一方面呢，张老师可能也会重点提到，就是他甚至在我们这个，他虽然最近他们来的比较少，已经在北京呢建成了一些这样的可能性。比如说我们在浙大的东亚中心里面，浙大的那个画廊里面 gallery 里面，我们已经其实展出了这个天龙山的这个一部分的这个材料。而且我觉得很有意思，就是说他们可能也是有时候远程遥控啊，也是把很多有意思的，不管是文物啊，还是这个文物的数字呈现，乃至于这个相应的这些阐释文本，都在一个我们身边的这个物理空间中，得以这个复现了。所以我也很感兴趣，蒋老师听到蒋老师谈到，就是说将未来以及过去他们是如何使这样的一种综合性的，需要很多人参与的这种艺术项目得以可能的，这也是对我们这儿的这个学者们会有很大的这个帮助。我相信啊，就是软和硬的两个方面，实和虚的两个方面。所以我也不再太多啰嗦。现在上镜的是那个 包老师，包老师要不要跟大家打个招呼对吧？就是他们很有幸两位一起在这个我们最需要这个文化的这个时刻，在北京访学，所以现在欢迎蒋老师，欢迎蒋老师为我们。
我给包老师我的那个 panelist 的邀请，所以他也出现在这里。
明白。
我觉得我感觉到很荣幸有这个机会，谢谢。我感觉很荣幸有这个机会，介绍我们在芝加哥大学东亚艺术中心做的关于数字人文与艺术史研究的项目。非常感谢北大文研院屈敬东老师的邀请，唐克阳老师的介绍，还有周世宇的帮助。因为我不习惯用汉语发言，所以今天用英文讲。讲完了，希望也还有时间可以讨论问题。以后还希望多有互动交流。那就开始了。
好的。
I feel very honored to be invited to speak about digital humanities and art historical research to introduce the work of the UChicago's Center for the Art of East Asia, CAEA, on cultural heritage projects. Many thanks to Dr. Xu Jingdong for inviting me to speak in the Digital Humanities Lecture Series organized by the Institute of Humanities and Social Sciences at Peking University. In order to present our center's digitization efforts, I would like to focus on a couple of important projects that we have set precedents for to expand our initiatives and to give you a sense of how these projects contributed to our experience working with digital data, how we develop tools for data preservation, presentation, navigation, and sharing. Our projects rely on a number of principal factors on research, compilation, and processing of digital imaging data, and participation in institutional collaborations. I will try to give you a sense of our working methods and importance of cooperation on interdisciplinary, cross-cultural, and cross-media interactions. The Center for the Art of East Asia, and I show you here our website. Hopefully, my internet will be stable enough to show some of these elements on our websites. CAEA is engaged in digital art history projects for the past 2 decades and more. CAEA was established in the Department of Art History at the University of Chicago in 2003. Initiated by Professor Wu Hong in response to the rapidly growing interest in the field of East Asia, supports research and scholarly exchange and creates programs for studying and teaching. If I may share my screen, I'll show you the CAEA website. I can show it here. And our projects, some of our projects. These are projects with websites that you can refer to. I began to work in the art history department in 1996 with Professor Wu Hong, and since that time we've organized an annual symposium on a selected topic. We have information about our symposia here. We invite scholars from different institutions and disciplines to present their research to encourage sharing of methodologies and new perspectives. the papers have mostly been published after these events. These are some of our publications, many of them with art media resources. This is Paragon Book Gallery, based here in Beijing. We now have a plan to translate many of these publications into Chinese. We also have a newsletter. And we welcome subscriptions to it. It's a bilingual newsletter written in both Chinese and English. And you can also access it through WeChat. The University of Chicago Center in Beijing, WeChat has us on their mailing list.
Recording stopped.
In the late 1990s, we began digital imaging of Chinese paintings for Professor Wu Hong's class on
Recording in progress.
The Chinese paintings in the horizontal hand scroll format is one of the major formats for traditional East Asian painting and calligraphic art. Viewing them traditionally involved an interactive experience. Being able to unroll them in sections and moving in time and space. The experience could be shared with others, with friends who could append comments or poems on added pieces of paper at the end. These provide a kind of biographical record of the life of the work of art. For students studying scroll paintings as rectangular photographs published in books, it was not a good way to impart key aspects of the traditional viewing experience. And museums display hand scroll paintings completely unrolled under glass, and they seldom bring them out of storage to allow them to be handled, even by experts. So the East Asian scroll painting website was developed to allow detailed and effective interactive viewing of the scroll paintings. My cursor. Sorry, I can't find it. Here seems to have gotten lost. I'm sorry. It's frozen. Here I am. The internet is not stable. Here is just a little bit of introduction of how to navigate the site. We have the paintings. And you can search by artist, by period. Say, here's some paintings by Dong Jichang. We've digitized nearly 100 Chinese and Japanese scroll paintings, stitched together with high-resolution photographs acquired from museums and displayed with their permission. The website provides security in that the full image of the painting cannot be downloaded for other uses. Here you can see that you can interact with this painting, scroll with this window here. There's also auto-scrolling. This is handy if you're giving a lecture and you just want to leave it moving along. There's also zoom capability. And also, there's a capability of comparing a scroll. I don't know if this is going to work on my laptop. The screen is too small to show it well, but here, one painting can be shown above the other for comparison. Here. The website is open access and is widely used for teaching at universities, increasingly because of the difficulty of traveling to museums and restrictions on handling these works of art. But rather than trying to expand the site in recent years since its creation and last update, we're encouraging other institutions to use the special hand scroll viewer software to create their own digital scrolling paintings. The hand scroll viewer is a custom extension of open source software in OpenSeaDragon and is available for you to download. I will move on. Here are some of the URLs for our various center websites. Now, the software developed by Charles Crable for creating hand scrolls is here, and I encourage other institutions to use this to put other paintings on the internet and so broaden the network of materials that can be shared. Okay. To promote, the second portion of my talk deals with three-dimensional digital imaging work that began in 2004 with research on the history of Chinese Buddhist cave temples. Museums outside China contain many important sculptures taken from grotto shrines in the early part of the 20th century and dispersed around the world. These cave locations are left in a severely damaged condition. I first began to study these as a student, and I wrote my dissertation on the Shangtangshan caves. To promote further understanding of the history and art of cave temples, CAEA began to conduct projects on sculptures from two Buddhist cave temple complexes from 2004 to 2013, Shangtangshan and Tianlongshan. The project components entail research on the history of the caves and their art and architecture, compiling modern evidence of the damage and dispersal of the sculptures, tracking the movement and location of the sculptures widely distributed in museums and private collections, traveling to museums to record the sculptures using high resolution photography and 3D scanning, and processing the data to create 3D digital models of the sculptures, and negotiating and signing collaborative agreements for sharing data and the results. And finally, sharing and displaying the results through website design, exhibition, publications, etc. Cave sites are part of an extensive landscape of religious complexes whose production began in India as you know, in the last centuries BCE, and subsequently became places of religious worship that extended across Central Asia into China. Creation of Buddhist caves peaked in China in the medieval period, with the chief periods of activity from the 5th through the 9th centuries. Many sites continue to serve as religious centers associated with monastic communities up to the early 20th century, when their contexts were decimated. And even afterwards, some caves were repaired, or attempts were made to repair them so they could continue to be used for religious purposes. So our research covers early history of the caves and the modern history. Fortunately, in the case of Tianlongshan, there are photos that record many of the caves before they were damaged. These can be compared with images of sculptures and fragments of sculptures to locate many of their former locations. And this can be enhanced with the 3D digital imaging. Oh, sorry, what happened here? I will show you some of the before and after images. Tianlongshan was recorded in around 1920, before the damage began.